Hi Taurus, this is your October 2023 reading, and this month we have an eclipse in the sign of Taurus. All the way at the end of the month there is that lunar eclipse full moon in Taurus, which is going to be representing a end of a cycle and you wrapping up a major chapter in your world. Before that, a new chapter emerges though, in another area of life altogether. Around the 14th of October, there is that solar eclipse, new moon in Libra, and this is going to be the time of renewal and new beginnings. Like I say in all my eclipse season readings, this energy of eclipses is associated with great beginnings, great endings, pivotal shifts, and destined occurrences. Let's get right into your reading and look at the cards that are coming through. Here I have the Seven of Pentacles. As you can see, this energy did come through reverse. In reverse, this Seven of Pentacles is speaking about progress, but because it became seen to me in the reversal, I'm thinking that this is what has been recently, past energy, annoying you. It has created some sense of unease in your world. It has agitated you. You might be thinking, why the hell are they doing it that way? I don't understand. Why can't I do it that way? You might even feel like there's a lot of intolerance, a lot of bias, a lot of lack of your vision being tolerated, or perhaps you are finding it hard to tolerate others. You know, it's just a complete feeling of anxiousness at times, or impatience, or considering, am I going to make this work? Is this ever going to work for me this time? You might have been second guessing your investments. You might have been second guessing your progress. For a lot of you, the word intolerance is coming through in this reading. I do have our Justice card, which is that Libra energy coming through in the reading. We do have that solar eclipse in the sign of Libra on the 14th. But as well as that, the scales of fairness are tipped off here. So there is something about bias, unfairness, unjustness. The intolerance you're feeling, Taurus, lately, have you been having greater intolerance to certain foods, maybe to certain herbs, to certain leaves, to certain spicy foods and spices? It could really come down to that. The other thing that I think this reading is going to focus on, and we're going to look at these cards together, pull more cards to go deeper, all the rest. I feel like there's two areas of your world right now that really need your focus. I think it's your home and living situation. I think it's the four walls of your cave, you know, or your cavern. I think it's where you are situated now, the roof over your head. That needs to be looked at. And I really do think that the other situation is work. I think it's your personal life and your professional life. They're really the scales are not balanced there, and I get the impression that something just doesn't feel right there, and I get this sense of having to be rushed all the time. You're always feeling like this great sense of urgency, and as we know, Taurus, put it on a damn mug for you. Do not rush me, okay? That is the Taurus motto. I myself, as a Taurus moon, am going to be also tapping into this energy with you, because that eclipse on the 28th of October is at 5 degrees of Taurus, and my moon is pretty eclipse, it's 0 degrees. So we are going to be collectively, all the Taurus placements included, wrapping up the end of a major cycle. Before that, a new one will emerge. The seeds will be sown around quite a new initiative in your world, a portal opening, so to speak. And I feel like you don't feel ready for something new yet, and that's okay. The Four of Wands often does represent a portal. Kind of looks like 1111 to me here, the opening. The guides are listening, your ancestors are listening for your prayers to be answered, but because it's in the reversal, you're blocking it in some way, or you just don't feel ready. We're going to look at these cards together. We're going to pull more and get into the meat and bones of this reading, but let's see what archetype you have been embodying or working with recently. What a fantastic card. Have you not been feeling yourself? Is it time to step further and further towards your true self? Like the self to me now, it's kind of like the pearl in the middle of this card with all the color like emanating around the central. It's like the pearl is created, right, by some sort of a organism, irritant, right? Something got into the pearl oyster and started to bother it. And so it seems like something has been bothering you. I even think like your gut is something that you've been focused on recently. The self is the soul, the witness, the watcher. The self is the prism that allows the spectrum of our personalities to radiate. It does not judge, prohibit, suppress, or oppress any of its parts, as it lovingly knows that all aspects have a time and place, and leads us to experience the full breadth of life's offerings. The self is the central abiding container, the awareness of the infinite universe of possibilities. When this card appears, it is a card called to step back, to witness consciousness, to observe yourself navigating the world. Ask yourself, am I the stew or am I the chef? In most situations, our egos draws us into the cauldron where we swirl, spin, and smolder in chaos. Yet the self is a graceful culinary dancer, watching, waiting, observing, as the spectrum of ingredients become the full flavor of life. Look in the mirror for 30 seconds or more. Attempt to see the you behind the you. I've done this before. It can be what feels like quite a transcendental and psychedelic experience to look at the you behind the you. It may not make sense until you actually go and do it. When light, you're witnessing, you're accepting new aspects of the self. When dark, you may feel fatigued or disjointed and diffused of a sense of energy or purpose. Let's look at these cards together. Let's pull more and go deeper into this reading. Let's keep going and pull some more cards. Let's go deeper into the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. I have it as past, present, future energy, but I always set the intention for this to be very fluid in terms of the timing. Take what resonates when it does, always leave the rest. We're looking at the Seven of Pentacles in reverse for Taurus. What has been getting under your skin? What's been bothering you? What has created this disruption to the inner harmony you usually feel? The Hanged Man, the Hanged One in this case, the Nine of Wands. Well, whatever it is, it has you on your defense. It has you feeling a little defensive. It's got your guard up, perhaps. It might even really have been wearing you out. This card can be quite physical, you know. If it is a food intolerance, or like I said, some sort of an environmental intolerance, it has been quite a depleting situation for you. But I really think what's bothering you is the way somebody is presenting something to you, and the way a person that obviously matters to you. Otherwise, why would you be so bothered by this? This person matters to you, and their viewpoint really contradicts the path you've been going down. It contradicts what your lived experience already is. You might ask yourself, how are they doing it that way? And it boggles your mind. The Hanged One, it is a major arcana card which is offering you a window of opportunity for you to see a situation in a completely different way. It has been here to present a challenge to your perspective, your worldview, but it has really, really pissed you off, Taurus, and it is creating in you this kind of a frustration, because you want to be open-minded, you want to be flexible, but whatever this is doing is getting way under your skin. The card around the self, if this card makes you feel calm, like you know your true self and that this really resonates on the work you've been doing, then that would be a sign that you're in alignment. If the self is a little bit of a triggering card right now, it would suggest to me that you're still working on what this archetype is offering you, and you're still continuing to move through that journey of radiating true self-expression and knowing who you really are and trusting in who you really are. And that would suggest that the self archetype is going to be carrying with you for a while. In the extended, we're going to look at another archetype, which will be the one you're moving into next. And in the extended, not only will I pull more cards to go deeper into this storyline. I'll also look at specifically love, whether you're taken or single, spiritual purpose in October. We're going to look at resources and wealth and career. So that's going to be linked below. It's exclusive to my Patreon where I post a heap of content. But if that's not something you're going to be moving towards, let's just get back here and stick here for now. The Hanged One, the irritant, the anxiety, the recent cause for like lack of understanding has been here to teach you about where you need to drop your guard. It's good to preserve ourselves, but are we preserving the ego too much? Is it time to drop the sort of defensive wall we've had in place around who we think we are? But it's about others, isn't it? We're in Libra season now, the sign of the other, the sign of relating to others. And because the Libra energy of justice is coming through in your reading in reverse, you might be having a hard time relating to others lately. You might not understand them, and because of that, maybe you feel misunderstood. So you get your back up, so you get defensive. It's pretty natural, but what are you failing to see here? I think it might be another perspective. A new perspective. Remember, you don't have to take on their perspective. The Hanged One is just saying like this kind of irritant or agitation or intolerance, bias, lack of understanding is just showing you a new way of seeing something. You don't have to adopt it, but what you could perhaps do is learn from it, and there's a reason that this is showing up. We'll go deeper in the extended, but for now let's look at the Four of Wands in reverse. So this is talking about the lack of harmony, the feeling of being rushed, the feeling of urgency pressing upon you, and something to do with your domestic personal life as well as that professional life of yours. What have we got? The Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups. Okay, so this is good because it shows that one of these things is about to really flourish and the other is the one you're going to be moving on from, the one that is holding you back. So there's something, so both of these circumstances are in a sense set to change this month. That makes a lot of sense for all of the signs, all of the placements, but dare I say, Taurus, you know, you're really one of the major players this month because that lunar eclipse is wrapping up a cycle. We have an eclipse right here, don't we? In the Eight of Cups, that is about to eclipse the sun and the moon, and it represents a end of an era. You're packed up your bags, you're kind of moving on from this situation. But whether it's your personal life or your professional life, and your personal life are your relationships, right? Your plans for the home, your plans for your family, your plans for your social life and your gatherings, and your inner work on yourself, your relationship to yourself, your personal goals, and those professional and outer world, well, that looks more like your job or your calling or your career or your reputation or your social standing or, you know, your status and things like that. Both are set to change. One is absolutely set to completely flourish, to thrive, to grow, to become much more healthy. We're looking back at health here again, and of course I'm by no means a health expert, so this is just kind of calling me to talk about the intolerance. I see carrots coming up here, and tomato. And so perhaps one of those things are helpful for you, or you find yourself being quite intolerant. I know nightshades like tomatoes can be something. I personally am having a bit of an aversion to tomatoes at the moment, and they're something I used to love, but carrots, I'm like, give me more. So that could be just a personal take on it, but also something that you might be noticing yourself. But something is about to be really, really worth it for you. And around the middle month, the mid-month point, I suppose, in October, you are just really like feeling like, yes, I'm thriving here. I'm so happy I stuck it out. This is such a accomplishment. I'm so damn proud of myself. The Nine of Wands, the Nine of Pentacles. Nines represent, and we do at the bottom of that deck have another Nine of Swords to the Ten of Swords. Okay, so we are done on something interesting. They represent an end of a cycle. We're coming up to completion. The Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords, you are absolutely at your wit's end with something, Taurus, and I think that there isn't a situation, and I feel like it isn't as present this month for you. I feel like you've been working with that energy, you're kind of done with it, but it had you at your wit's end. And I think you made a breakthrough to sort of say, like, I'm actually not taking this from this person anymore, the Emperor. They're a powerful force in your life, you know, and we can't be mad at them. They served their purpose, and that's not to sound dismissive of their role or who they are. They could be still a very pivotal point for you. I mean, your emperor, it could be your father, a father figure, it could be a boss, it could be a teacher or a leader in your world. But they definitely showed you what that you needed to know about your limits. And everybody has limitations, and yours were breached, so to speak, lately. And you're still defensive about it. You still feel like you can't fully let your guard down. That's in the past. Whether or not you learned from this perspective, I don't know. I think that some of you have kind of just found it a little bit more difficult to truly take on that perspective, because without taking it personally or without seeing it as an attack on the journey that you've had. But then we'll go back to the self card. Talking about the self, are you comfortable with yourself? Is it a very peaceful energy to see this archetype coming up and a realization and resonance that, yes, I'm really starting to see my true self, or I have been? Or is that a journey that you're going to continue working towards? Then you'll know how you incorporated this lesson. It's no judgment either way anyway. I just feel like it makes sense for everybody to be different on that. The Eight of Cups, the more unfulfilling sector of your world lately, be it personal or professional, it seems like that's the one that you're going to have a change of heart around and a change of direction, where you're going to seek something else and you're going to look back again fondly. Even if it's been a sort of bone of contention for you lately, it probably hasn't always been. Likely it hasn't always been, and you're like gonna look back and be like, that was good. There were really a lot of full cups there. There was a lot of success, a lot of connections, a lot of harmony, but it doesn't really satisfy you anymore. And perhaps the more abundant situation in your world, be it the professional or personal, we'll get into it a little more in the reading, in the extended, as I said, it's kind of juxtaposed, because you're like, this is going so well, this is not cutting it anymore. This is the biggie, right? There is a eclipse at the end of the month on the 28th. It's in the sign of Taurus, and I think it's the game changer for the journey you've been on so far. Let's look into justice reversed. Let's see what way the scales are going to be balanced, because something really is in need, right? Something is in need of your attention and focus, and it's about making a bigger change this month. As well as that, a bigger cycle of your journey so far is wrapping up now. We have the Five of Wands, more of that agitation, but then a very empowered Queen of Wands coming through as our final card pull for this reading. Beautiful. This is the more so the chapter ending, I feel like, and it is leaving on a high, the final eclipse in the Taurus Scorpio axis that we've been working with now for I am going to say we've been working with this energy since April, May of 2022, and the chapter that began around April, May of 2022 is now culminating for us. Depending on your rising sign, you'll know what area of life was the main focus for that, but it's leaving you a much more strong sense of who you are now. This is a card associated with Aries. There is a full moon in Aries on the 28th, 29th of September. This could be a glimpse into your future self. Aries is the sign of the self. So if this self card is triggering at the moment, not really making you feel peaceful, you might feel differently about it towards the end of the month. I really strongly guess that I should recommend the advice of the Oracle or the Archetype Guide. Look into the mirror, look into your eyes, the window of the soul. For some, this is not a comfortable practice, but it's okay to be uncomfortable. You know, we can do it. And look at the self beyond the self. Look into those beautiful, soulful eyes of yours, Taurus. I often see Taurus eyes so soft and lovely, almost think of like your symbol, the bull or the cow, those really beautiful, deep and soulful eyes. Have a look and see the self beyond the self. I think that will only make sense when you do the practice yourself. But the Queen of Wands, you know, you're feeling yourself, you know, it's been a while, it's been a journey. Maybe there has been intolerances to all things and intolerance to yourself. Some of you are like, "Oh, I just can't stand that, I want to change that." And some, I really do get the sense like there has been such an intolerance to something like a food for you, especially with Aries. Again, I'm seeing like spicy food that it's creating flare-ups from perhaps somewhere from your gut, and that's not fun. But the end of a cycle wrapping up for you is bringing you towards a clearer sense of yourself, greater self-confidence with the Queen of Wands, and a greater sense of being seen as desirable, attractive, and magnetic. The Five of Wands. So this is something that, you know, Four of Wands in reverse, Five of Wands. The situation where there's most rushing, urgency. Again, I'm seeing like, yeah, it's just so uncomfortable in a sense for some of you. That's the one that you really are calling your attention towards. The Justice card at the end of the month around this eclipse is like, there is a window here, an invitation really for you to truly bring focus to that agitator, that irritant in your life. Like the pearl, something wonderful will be created from that irritant. But the Five of Wands is like where we all disagree, where we're all not getting along. Again, it might not be just a person that you feel is intolerant or you can't tolerate. It could be a group, an organization, a team, or a society. A lot of big egos here at play. Everybody has a strong opinion. Group settings could be revealed to be just more hassle than they're worth. And what's worth it for you is what's really thriving for you mid-month, and you know that, oh my god, it was so worth it that I kind of stuck with that. And for others, you're just like, I cannot believe, I can't get my head around, I can't be enlightened to this perspective, the Hanged One, about how they do it. Like, and there might be envy there, and that's so healthy. It's only kind of unhealthy if we deny that and make that shadow in ourselves, like this self. Because, you know, if we kind of are, envy is perfectly normal. If we pretend that, if we deny that, it becomes something that can be unhealthy for us, you know, and the people around us. But for some of you, you're like, how did they do it? I want to be able to do that. I can't do it, and I can't understand how they're able to trust, to perform, to attract. And it's all about you accepting that there's something that you want, Taurus. You have a desire, okay? And the Queen of Wands speaks to the desires that you have and getting your needs met, and desires met a little bit more towards the end of the month, if not a lot more, you know. But we're going to look at this deeper in the extended. This was a kind of complex reading for me to read so far. You're the fifth sign I've read for, and for me, Taurus, it was a little bit more complex for me, but I just read intuitively and hope those messages resonate for you, even when they don't resonate for me fully. That's just how I read tarot, and I would love to hear your feedback. If you feel like engaging in the comments, and if you feel like even sharing this video. If not, like, subscribe, and take care of yourself. Happy eclipse season. We got this.